What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. More Birthright coverage. We're working our way through more of the awnshegh. Today we have a particularly famous or infamous one, and one of the more powerful ones, certainly, and that is the Raven. So really awesome artwork here as well. So we're going to jump in. This is a very long one. Just actually gets a 6-page entry in the Blood Enemies expansion. So really cool. Another one, though, that's off to the far east in the Voss territories, thankfully. He'd certainly be a contender up there with the Gorgon, just in certain power levels. So, and good for Antiwarian Realms, just because this would be a very tough customer to deal with. So let's jump in. And actually, right before we jump in, guys, if you want to support the channel, get content like this usually about a week early, but also a lot of exclusive Birthright and other D&D content, even other games that we cover, check us out on our Patreon. All the support over there really helps out the channel, lets us keep bringing you content, but also lets us hunt down some of these old modules and things like that for this and other settings. We got plenty more content coming for Birthright, but also eventually we're going to dip our toes into Ravenloft, Dark Sun, and some of the other obscure settings out there from years past. And again, just all that support really helps us out. So let's jump in, though, guys. According to the people, there are only 3 true powers in this world: the Magian, the Gorgon, and me, the Raven. They say that few have the ability to stop us, and thoughts of the ruin we will bring fills the air of this world with panic. It is rare when rabble are correct. I have watched for centuries from across the evanescence, the barrier between here and what the masses call the shadow world. I know everyone's weaknesses, and I know their strong points. I enjoy turning weaknesses against foes unexpectedly to cripple their strength. Fret not, 'twill be your turn soon enough. Why has the Raven returned to Cerelia? A fool inherited this throne, he gave it to me, and I granted it to another for its own salvation. My plans, chroniclers, you shall write upon their fruition in days to come. You shall write that the son of Azrai led the Voss to glory, unheard of in a millennia, for that shall be the truth. The Gorgon, Azrai's grandest mortal champion, has survived since Daesmar, impressive through his guile and artifice and child's play, or actually our child's play compared to mine. The Magian is new to this continent. Like all those with power, the corruption runs deep, and even an immortal may fall from rot within. I have but recently returned to claim a throne and a rightful place of power. Even so, we are a triumvirate, and we shall unite to bring all lessers down before us. The Gorgon is our juggernaut, a primal engine of destruction. The Magian is our wizard, the twin forces of blood and magic fully attuned for chaos to bring about order. I, the Raven, am the general, a practiced leader and strategist beyond compare. I could exercise the strengths of both my comrades and none of their weaknesses, but my time of ascension is yet to come, and then I shall soon not need them. When the time is right, with the will of Azrai and Belanik behind me, all shall see me vanquish my partners and finally become my father's son in truth as in title. The Raven speaks strangely, as if he existed long ago on this continent. While there was once a wizard known as the Raven before Daesmar, he disappeared 2,000 years ago. Still, Warlord Tusalov has changed since taking the throne, and not all for the good. By all accounts, Tsar Lenski of the Ust-Atka domain was a weak leader. He couldn't get the noble families to work together, and territorial and commercial conflicts disrupted the realm for decades. The 5 leading Voss families were always at odds over one issue or another. Tsar Lenski started looking for any sources to help unify his country. He looked toward his loyal army and raised a Voss warrior named Pyotr Tusalov to his side as a military advisor. With Tusalov's aid, he hoped to bring his people together by force if necessary. For a short time, this solidified his power, but as so often happens, civil war broke out soon enough, each noble family backing an army in the conflict. Tusalov made it clear that his support was temporary, and when he had quelled the unrest, he would return to claim the Tsar's throne by force. Tsar Lenski, in desperation, turned to magic to aid him. He bought help from Klemed, an obscure wizard from Maraset, who promised a solution with a price. After much deliberation, the Tsar accepted. Closely following the directions, Tsar Lenski traced an elaborate pattern of movements around his estate, unaware that he was being stalked by warlord Tuslov. Both men were led by Clement's directions unwittingly into the shadow world and to the edge of a large pool of blood. Lenski, still oblivious to Tuslov's presence, spotted a large raven along the shore and approached it. The raven asked, "What is it you seek?" Lenski replied, "I search for a way to unite my shattered people, and I fear this lack of unity will be our eventual downfall. I want the power to coalesce my people, and I'm willing to pay any fair price." The raven cawed in joy and shook its feathers. "Very well, I can help you, and the price is quite fair. Pay him, warlord." As Lenski spun around in horror, he met the blade of a broadsword ending his life. As the Tsar's birthright escaped, the raven absorbed every iota of energy from the dead ruler, much to the surprise of warlord Tuslov. A little typo there. "Worry not, my friend, you too have your purpose here, and your body shall wield more power than you ever dreamed," croaked the raven. It flew toward the warlord and entered his body through his screaming mouth, evicting his own spirit and stranding it in the shadow world. When the warlord returned to Cerelia with the body of Lenski, changes started occurring. He took the throne and executed the heads of the noble families, absorbing power from their minor bloodlines as well. Soon, the once handsome warlord began wearing a hood or helm to cover his face. In almost 75 years, no one has gazed upon the face of warlord Tuslov, now known as the most ruthless general of Vosgard, the Raven. Given the harshness by which he conquered the realm, many believe he started to change into an awnshegh, though none can prove it just yet. Despite the Raven's brutalities, he has managed to unite the country under one ruler and one banner, a red field with a raven with a single white eye stretching its wings across the banner. The Raven has gained land to east and southeast, conquering 6 provinces owned by Zoloskaya and Yedensky. They were easily acquired, and the Raven plans on continuing east until he reaches the sea. So, unlike the Gorgon, which really hasn't necessarily in recent times claimed, and he's got several puppet kingdoms, this guy is just flat out conquering. At times, the Raven refers to himself as the son of Azrai, an affectation that disturbs many. Many say that the Raven wields power with an ease that terrifies even the hardest of hearts. Whether son of Azrai is just an assumed title by a proud warrior or has become a shred of truth, there's a shred of truth to it, is unknown. The sheer hubris of the title and the dangers associated with that is enough to impress even the mighty Gorgon. Many rumors swirl about the Raven in terms of evil or powers he has, but keeps secret. If any are to be believed, he can fly by night on wings of darkness, steal bloodline strength from a ruler with a glance, and attack a foe with at least 7 sword blows in a second. Tales of its appearance claim its skin is covered by black feathers and his face has grown a beak. His armor is empty, filled only by his power, or the Raven is actually 2 people, a warrior and a mage, that appear in public covered with the same illusions. So, finally, a secret rumor implies that the Raven is one of the Lost, the original human sorcerers taught true magic by Azrai. This, however, is in serious doubt since it's a well-known fact that all of the Lost were killed at Deismar, or were they? So, another fun bit of lore that, again, DMs could interpret in their own way, however they want. But let's get into some stats, right? So, intelligence of 22, so, beyond genius, right? Mainly active during the day, omnivore, lawful evil, movement speed of 12, 6.5 feet tall, armor class of 4, or -2 with armor, again, the old system. So really, we'd be looking at like 16 and 22, I think, respectively. Huge hit point pool, 166. Saves as a level 17 fighter or 14 wizard. Thaco doesn't exist anymore, but at least number of attacks 2 per round. DMs can feel free to tweak that if they want. Has special weapons and things like that. Has spells as well. No special magic defenses or resistances, or defense in general. Absolutely fearless. A giant bloodline there. 77 of Azrai, so a true bloodline strength there, and has quite the set of abilities here, as if all the foregoing weren't powerful enough. Alertness at minor, blood form as major, heightened ability as a minor, invulnerability, great, regeneration. So those two, again, when we reviewed those, check the separate videos, right? But that could be one where even if, let's say, a party somehow manages to drive off the Raven or think that they've defeated him, he should be perpetually coming back until people figure out how it is that he can be killed. So there'd have to be a special way, but also just regenerates in general. So that's already frightening given the stats. But also has shadow form at great and travel as great. 21,000 XP should you be able to down him. And again, here we go with the stats. So 19 strength, intelligence of 22, dex of 21, wisdom of 22, con of 23, charisma of 17. So, when a 17 is your dump stat, right? Pretty powerful stuff there. So in battle, right? So we're going to pause on the wizard stuff for just a second. So in battle, right? And you can run the numbers, and it's a fun little scenario too, like just a straight up fight and see if a party can even hang for a little bit. But his unusual weapons include 2 longswords. He has a frostbrand +2 and a flame tongue +3. Wields them simultaneously. Also has 2 daggers +1 tucked into his belt. Also keeps a scimitar of speed and a magical bardiche in his chambers. So should you find him there. But another thing that he could bring, but really just the 2 swords are probably potent enough. Finally, he has a dagger that hums with latent power, but its magic cannot be tapped. It lacks a gem in the haft of the pommel, and this may be the key to its power. Only the Raven knows of it, so just from that, he's already going to be ridiculously strong and nasty to deal with in close combat. You'd have to have a suitably couple of fighters or something that can at least like tank for a little bit, but probably not that long, right? With the strength bonus and everything, magic weapons like that is just going to be absolutely brutal. Assuming you just keep him at the 2 attacks per round, right? And nothing more. But wait, there is more. So he also casts spells as if he were a 14th level wizard. So here we go. Typical first level spells: change self, color spray, enlarge. That'd be ridiculously frightening. Have him be this towering giant attacking you. Magic missile ×2. At second level, he uses blur, ESP, fog cloud, scare, and web. Third level, dispel magic, fireball, of course, fly, haste would be absolutely frightening against him. Slow, charm monster, confusion, dig, mass morph at 4th. Again, some of these might not exist anymore, so just double check your edition and find something suitable. 5th level, chaos, demi shadow monsters, right? So you can summon stuff. Shadow magic ×2, demi shadow magic, and then mislead at 6th. At 7th level, Shadow Walk, and, oh, by the way, since he's a domain ruler, he has all realm spells as well, so he could raise an army of the undead and other crazy stuff if he wanted to. So this guy is up there, right? He is in the upper ranks of awnshegh just from, like, this raw, like, stats and abilities. He's up there with the Magian and the Gorgon for a reason. All right, we'll come back here in part 2 as we then take a look at his realm. All right, guys, continuing on here. So the realm of the Raven himself, which is Ust-Atka, but now just known as the Raven's Domain. It's east of Cal-Calathor, against the far east. It's in the Voss territories. Not available for PC use, of course. He's lawful evil, or the realm is lawful evil, rather. Through agents, he controls nearly all law, source, temple, and guild holdings in the domain. The Wing is his guild network, suitably named, right? Manages his trade holdings and espionage activities. So while it might seem a little bit disjointed with some of the other things going on here, basically everything is under his control. And also basically has virtually unlimited resources. So Regency generated, accumulated 82 and 100 respectively. Generated and accumulated gold, 35 and 15. So again, on top of his just absolutely frightening personal abilities, the realm itself is also fairly formidable. He has a lethal and devastating army. Each province along the domain's northern, southern, and western borders has 1 unit of infantry. The eastern border provinces are occupied by 8 units of cavalry and infantry in various concentrations along the border. Imminent plans for the overthrow of Zoloskaya and Yenensky have caused these severe movements. At this point, the plan is for one force to move into Zoloskaya, not stopping until the easternmost sections are reached. The second force will create a blocking file to protect the main force's southern flank from retaliation by Yenensky. Once the sea is reached, much of the force will be placed along the Yenenskayan northern border. The blocking file then moves south into Yenensky, and the protective forces along the Ravens' eastern border move in from the east. The only things in question are when the Ravens plans to initiate the attack and how long his opponents will be able to hold his force back. Again, we've covered those realms. They have a little bit of military force, but nothing that necessarily would stand up to him, especially if he's like personally leading it, right? So he is this region's Gorgon, and really along with the Magian, two horribly frightening awnshegh at super crazy power levels, all within close proximity to a lot of the Moss realms here. So if we hadn't already mentioned it when we covered all those realms, right, it is very tough to grow a domain over in that area just because you have all these insanely powerful bad guys as neighbors. The regent himself here, so he dresses all in black, even his sword, armor, and helm are coated in a black matte finish. The steel mesh mask he wears under his helmet completely covers his face, and you can only see one glaring eye from that. No one has ever seen his actual face. It should be similar to Warlord Tusilov's, but that's doubtful given the nature of the awnshegh. The Raven has 7 lieutenants as well that control his borders and patrol his borders, and his armies. 3 are in control of the west, north, and south, 1 per border, while the other 4 help conduct the eastern sort of aggressive campaigns. So you can kind of get a lay of the land here. So he's kind of located in here, and he's got his invasion plans going that way. Other important NPCs, there's 2 main dissidents toward the Raven's actions. The first is a woman named Natalia Jeriver from Akara Bluffs. Her people are a small group of hunters who don't take kindly to being forced into the roving armies of an insane leader. She's killed about 7 members of the army when they stray too far from their own numbers and are alone. The Raven is very well aware of her presence, but doesn't seem too interested. The army has standing orders to kill dissidents in the area, but they are not actively searching for them. Outside her small community, she has little influence since the Raven has been responsible for increasing the spending capital of each citizen. Most are very content with their lives and see the recruitment of the army as a necessary side effect. The second dissident is a Moss city guard from Ion named Grigory Handel. This man goes by a wide number of aliases. Pietro is his most common, whenever he's disguised and trying to rally people to his side. He's surprised at how few people are willing to fight for their beliefs. Why not? The Raven is essentially winning hearts and minds by, hey, we're going to actually improve your life and living conditions. Here's some more money, as opposed to your previous condition. So it's hard to get people away from that. Most people he's discovered are content to wait and see what happens, or to allow their government to do what it will. Thus far, again, Grigory, disguised as Pietro, has rallied only 7 core members, and together the 8 are trying to increase their numbers. The Raven has caught wind of a dissident called Pietro and has decided to try and stop him. Even though Pietro is not as powerful as Natalia, he happens to be close enough to the Yenensky front that the Raven fears the agitator may become effective, or worse yet, a martyr. Mouths can be silenced, but martyrs cannot. One thing I forgot to really take a quick peek at too. So, very large domain, right? Lots of provinces here. Still fairly sparsely settled, but you do have several 3s. You got a 4 here, even a 5, and then sort of 1 untapped domain. But again, still a fair bit of people here. Surprising too here in Akara Bluffs. We just saw that with the description of the dissidents, but literally has no law in some of these domains, right? Actually, quite a few. So, the domain description here. The Raven has been the ruler for only about 10 years. Before that time, Tsar Lenski was the country's leader, and the Raven was shackled in the Shadowland, never able to get out without an invitation from someone outside. In the 10 years since his arrival, he was able to coalesce the factions that threatened to split the country apart and increase their land holdings by about 30%, right? He took over some domains, some provinces. His greedy needs are not yet kindled, and his aggressive posturing along the eastern border is evident of this. The only problem facing his successful conquest in the mountain ranges that border those two realms. Luckily, these are soft mountains of great age, which will make their ascension relatively simple. So we see the capital there, Yanskia, several cities, several villages. So again, it's a fairly developed realm. It was already before he took over, and does have some apparent mineral wealth there too. So that eastern border range, so probably wants to take over that too. Trade goods. So he actually exports huge quantities of food. Grains, breads, and meats are the domain's greatest exports. This is also what helps fuel the war machine. So without this necessary money, the Raven would be unable to properly feed and supply his forces. And that would be something, as say someone is adventuring in other domains nearby, or if you're running those domains and getting spies into the Raven's domain, figuring out like where could you hurt him economically. Might not be able to stop him in like a direct military confrontation, but the army has to eat, and so somehow disrupting his trade and his economy would hopefully stifle him a little bit and frustrate him. So that'd be one sort of fun like infiltration type set of missions to try and accomplish. So he does import ore, even though the mountain ranges in his domain supply a great deal of his metallic needs. He just wants to make sure that his forces are well supplied, preferably oversupplied. So again, he's a military genius on top of all the other frightening abilities he has. There are some unsubstantiated rumors that the Raven and the Gorgon have a silent pact of non-aggression. Again, they're also very far apart, so this rumor was given a bit more substance when a group of assassins from Alamieh passed through Kiergaard, heading for the Raven's capital city of Yanskia to assassinate him. The Gorgon's troops, well outside their normal range, found the assassins and tortured them to death. Interesting. So again, these realms are so far apart, and especially Alamieh having or paying attention to what's going on in the Voss realms does seem a little bit weird. But who knows, though? Certainly, probably should have hired more skilled assassins. And realistically, probably they wouldn't have succeeded against the Raven anyway. Other enemies, though. Boris Tetchayev, a young boy yet, but growing fast, is learning his weaponry skills and prays diligently to Krisha to deliver the Raven to him. Boris is the last son of the Tetchayev clan that controlled the southern provinces of the Raven's domain, and he wants revenge for the death of his family and its power. The Raven hardly considers the boy a threat and allows his tutoring in priestly orders and battlecraft to continue, hoping to meet a worthy opponent in the decades to come. Maybe underestimating the kid too, but that would be a fun kid to encounter too, and maybe the party works to help keep him safe as well, and maybe ensure that he lives long enough to do that. Could be a fun NPC to join the party for a while, or a quest line to keep him safe, or maybe even get a little bit further outside of the Raven's reach. Finally, there is a particular ancient tree within the estate grounds of the Raven's fortress at Yanskia that appears dead and rotted from within. Its trunk has an irregular fissure in it, and folks say that they see glowing eyes looking out from inside the tree. In truth, this tree contains a portal to the Shadow World. Though accessing it, it is possible only by the following method. On the moonless night, carry an iron key over your heart, walk around the castle 3 times, always turning to your left, approach the tree, and step in with your left foot first. If those steps are followed, a portal to the Shadow World is temporarily opened within the hollow of the enormous dead oak. This entryway was used by Tsar Lenski and Warlord Tuslov to reach the Shadow World and bring back the Raven, though they knew it not at the time. So that wraps up the huge description of the Raven and his realm, guys. Again, frightening as all can be as far as abilities, right? Just martial abilities, if nothing else. But then you throw on all the wizard abilities, the access to the domain spells, and just everything else. And right, again, this is a frightening realm, frightening individual here. So anybody that's playing a Voss campaign is going to have to somehow deal with him, the Manticore, the Magian, right? It's pretty frightening being over in the Voss realms, as if all the other cultural and internal problems that the Voss have aren't enough. Then they have their just regular neighbors, which are likely to be their enemies. But then here you have again something like the Raven. All the usual awnshegh trappings mixed with a military genius and someone who actually is open to conquering and is having success with it so far. And then again, you have the Magian and everything else going on. It's very frightening, but cool campaign though with some interesting possibilities there, right? We have a couple different resistance movements to them, although the populace at large does seem kind of content because, well, their lives have been improved over the previous anarchy that kind of existed in the domain. But there are three sort of prongs towards that. But again, here it's cool to see. We don't get enough of it, but there is even as part of the lore for the Raven and how he came to be essentially. A chance to go into the shadow world and maybe learn more there, and who knows, what they would find there. Is there some sort of secret to dethroning the Raven, or maybe somehow banishing the Raven back into the shadow world? That would probably be the culmination of a campaign. Unlikely that any players or party really defeats him. It'd have to be pretty high level and probably a very large party. Again, he's going to just tear through PCs by and large, right? With fighting and magic in equal number. So that'd probably be their best bet. But learning all that again would require some fun stealth and infiltration missions, and just figuring out where he came from, what's really going on, all those different things. But a super rewarding, but I'd say high level campaign as well. Let us know, guys, if you've run the Raven or run against the Raven, I should say. You wouldn't be necessarily running him, but how's that been incorporated in your campaigns? How would you go about that? Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll have more Birthright for you soon. Thanks for watching.